Hello, my name is Georgia Altair and welcome back to my knitting podcast. I think I'm just going to do pretty standard formatting. So I'll talk a little bit about what I knit and I'm wearing, some finished objects, works in progress, and then I have one yarn acquisition, and a couple plans for what I'm going to be knitting next. But so let's just get started. This is blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is one of the first things I knit when I was getting back into knitting. It's, I don't know, pretty basic construction. It doesn't have any like finishings for the edging. I also just did a cap sleeve. It's like a contiguous shoulder. So sort of like a raglan, but then you start doing increases inside where the raglan would be for the sleeve. And I didn't end up doing the full length. I did this color because I think her sample for the non-mohair edition is like in this pastel baby butter yellow, and I was absolutely obsessed. I think I was low-key like very much off gauge. I don't remember what needle size I used. I think I had like circular needles that I didn't even know the size of. And the yarn, this was like before I really understood the difference between like fingering, sport, etc. But it worked out. It fits, and so we love it. I get a lot of wear out of it. It's like in a cotton, I want to say this is like Berroco cotton in like a sport weight. So it's definitely like stretched out a little bit. Cotton doesn't wear like quite as nice as maybe like a merino or something. It doesn't retain its shape. But I really love it. I get a lot of use out of it, and as it's starting to get warmer here in California, I've definitely been pulling it out more. And so first things first, let's talk about some more finished objects. I think all of my finished objects this month are green. Green is my favorite color. I feel like I hadn't knit anything for myself that was green, and I realized this back in like end of March, April, and then all of a sudden now all I've been knitting is green. But I think there's some non-green projects on the horizon. So if green is not your favorite, I promise there's non-green things coming. But yeah, right now I'm definitely in my green knitting era. And so the first thing is going to be, this is sweater number, I want to say 26, by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And this is a saddle shoulder construction. It's like a very oversized crew neck type sweater. It's very not seasonally appropriate, I guess I would say. The yarn choice is literally called Autumn Heather, and this is in the Scouts or Kelbourne Woolens Scout yarn. It's a DK weight yarn. It's like a wool, maybe merino, but it's a rustic yarn. It's this really pretty color that I don't know how well it actually shows up on camera. Can try to hold it up a little bit better. But it's sort of like it's in between a green and brown, I guess I would say, but it has this rainbow heathering, and so like in sunlight it's like very clearly a green with like beautiful rainbow, but I think like in indoor lighting it can look sort of brown. And so I like how neutral it is. I don't normally go for neutrals, but I like the fact that this is like not so loud. It's definitely, again, it's like very oversized. I do not gauge swatch. And the recommended needle size for this was 5mm. And after I had like made it, I was realizing a lot of people on Ravelry talk about dropping down to like a 4mm. I think the designer just must have a really tight gauge. And I probably should have done this. This is like an extra small, and like, it's really not giving extra small, but I wanted a really oversized sweater, and so I wasn't mad. I guess I like made it longer than was recommended. I guess it's like the one modification, just because it was so boxy, I didn't want it to then be sort of like normal length. I wanted it to really be very oversized if it was going to be oversized at all. And so because it's kind of oversized, I did end up panicking, and I actually ended up getting an extra skein of yarn because I was worried that I was going to run out of yarn. And instead what happens is I now have an entire skein left of this yarn. So again, this is the Kelbourne Woolens. This is their Scout yarn. It's a DK. Now that I have it right in front of me, we can check the contents. It's 100% wool, not merino or anything. Rustic yarn. And I don't totally know what I'm going to do with this skein. I have like maybe like 10 grams left of the 4th skein that I originally bought for the sweater. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I could make like a beanie out of this, but also I've been trying to be more mindful about, I've been trying to not buy yarn. I feel like I really like where my stash is at. I feel like I have a lot of projects that I'm excited to work on from my stash. So like the exception's sort of been getting yarn for like, I have to have a couple test knits coming up, and then like this to like finish off a garment. But I've been trying to be mindful. I like went through my stash and realized I just have like so many skeins of like a leftover ball or two from projects, because I tend to not want to play yarn chicken. I like end up with a little bit too much, and then also some projects just only use half a skein. And I was just realizing, like, I don't know, like obviously yarn is expensive and I want to be utilizing the yarn I have, but also I do have the yarn for, my next many couple months of projects. And I would rather prioritizing making that than prioritize trying to get through all of this more stash busting, spare yarn / working on projects that are going to take a really long time. Like I think making a beanie out of this doesn't take too long, but you know, it's still time, and it's like not something I necessarily would be choosing to do if I didn't have the yarn. So I'm trying to find the balance between like using what I have, using it wisely and well, and not being like, you know, not just getting rid of it, but also like recognizing that my time is valuable, and I have a very, you know, limited amount of time of like how much time can you put into knitting, and I don't want to be spending it on things that I don't necessarily want. So still trying to figure out a good balance for that. Let me know if people have thoughts. I feel like, yeah, like scrap busting has been definitely a priority for me this past month. I did like a lot of like scrunchies. I made another Rybka pouch for a friend, which I've already shipped off, so but I'll maybe insert a photo. And I like initially I went into May being like, I'm gonna like get through so much of my scrap yarn, and then I was just realizing like I can do all these sort of like one-off projects, but it's gonna take a while, and I feel like I have like, you know, months of knitting of just like the bits and bobs, because I feel like often scrappy projects are like on a smaller gauge or whatever, which is like good, you know, good to have that yarn and have it in stash, but also like is not necessarily where I want my time to be going. So we'll see what happens with that. Definitely still working through my thoughts. That was a bit of a ramble, so thank you for indulging me. But yeah, sweater number 26. I guess I would say gauge swatch on this one. Think about sizing. I think it is always just going to be like very oversized for the saddle construction. You know, the sleeve is like quite big. And so you do with that info what you will. But again, I feel like I can't critique it much because I didn't gauge swatch, and so really, who knows? I feel like a lot of these problems probably could have been resolved if I just like made a gauge, or also low-key, like it's a saddle construction. I could have low-key literally just measured like, what is my gauge on this? Is it right? And I still haven't even done that. I don't want to know at this point. I'm just like, whatever, it's done. We made it. I'll like it. I'll wear it. It's gonna be okay. So my next finished object is very much in the same color palette, and I don't think I've shown these before, but these are just some vanilla socks. I have already worn them a handful of times, so my apologies if like the heel is definitely starting to felt a little bit, but I'll try to hold it up. So this is in yarn, I'm gonna forget, it's like Lana Gatto or Lana Grossa. I feel like I've bought yarn from both those brands, and the fact that it's a Lana and then G, my brain just cannot keep a track. But this is in the colorway Green Apple Tweed. I love the colorway. It was like a 80% superwash merino, 20% polyamide, so very standard sock yarn material. And yeah, I just did the Crazy Lady sock, vanilla sock. I ended up doing a 2x2 rib for the cuff, which I think I like better. I had for a while been doing twisted rib for the cuff, just because I feel like my 1x1 rib is like not as tidy. But I think I like the 2x2. I think that's what I'm gonna probably do moving forward. And then it's just like a standard slip stitch, heel, flap, gusset construction. I guess I like make the leg part of it shorter than recommended, just because I don't like my socks to be as tall. But beyond that, yeah, very basic vanilla sock. I feel like I've been really enjoying. I have like maybe like 8 or 9 pairs of knit socks at this point, and so it's just been nice to feel like I can basically wear a knit sock every day of the week. Besides, I guess like when I go on runs, or if I'm doing something like physical, I try to wear like non-knit socks for, you know, obvious purposes of durability, and just like getting, you know, if I get so much sweat or dirt in this, it's just not nice. But yeah, I feel like I really like knit socks. I'm really enjoying it. I don't have that much sock yarn in stash, actually. I feel like I've like worked my way through almost all of my sock yarn. But I think I have like some scraps of stock yarn, so maybe gonna do something with that. But yeah, really enjoying it. I feel like for anyone that hasn't knit socks before, I feel like it's just satisfying to do, and then I feel like the actual finished object is like so good. Like I feel like you can wear it whenever, it doesn't matter the weather. And they're just so cozy, and you can get it to fit to your feet. So if you have, I feel like some people are always like, oh, maybe it's not for me, which definitely was me before I knit socks. But you know, can't recommend enough. I feel like people love it for a reason. So yeah. My next finished object is something that I don't think I've even shown before, because I found out I was going to be knitting it and then finished it really quite quickly. This was the Penelope top by Sari Nordlund, and this was a test knit for it. So I think I found out I was selected, I want to say May 7th, and then it was going to be due June 4th. And so I had a lot of whips on the go. I had too many whips on the go, I would say, actually. And so I was like, okay, we have to set everything down and just work on this. And I think I like cranked it out in like more like 2 weeks. So I had plenty of time. It wasn't actually that much of a rush. But I made this in the CasaSol Bambu yarn, which is a yarn I picked up while in Spain. So it is a bamboo yarn. It's in this beautiful kind of greenish gold color, which I thought was really perfect for the sort of lace bottom detail, which I'll try to hold up a little bit better, which was giving a little bit leafy to me. I like the fact that it has almost this sort of like scalloping because of how the decreasing works. And yeah, I think this top is just something that it's like very different stylistically from a lot of things I gravitate towards. It's a little bit more feminine, more flowy. Like the drawstring is just not a fit that I would normally, I think, like see a pattern of. And like, I don't know, or I guess I like pattern wise, yes, I feel like, I don't know if I'd like go into a store and buy something like this. But it's nice because I feel like it really rounds up my wardrobe a little bit. I've been wearing it with some more of my like flowy long skirts. And yeah, it was just like a delight to knit. I feel like Sari Nordlund patterns are always so well written. So even though this was a test knit, like I found no problems. Every single stitch count was correct for my size. Like everything made sense. It was super readable. I felt honestly a little bit bad. I didn't have any like feedback to give because I was just like, yep, would do it and be like, yep, that's exactly what she wrote and that's exactly what I'm seeing and everything makes sense. But you know, in the scheme of things, that's a good problem to have. I guess like the one note, it's not a critique, it's just like a note. There's a lot of I-cord, right? So there's this I-cord drawstring and then, you know, you do I-cord edging for the armholes and the neckline. By the time I got to the neckline, I was pretty over the I-cord. I think you can see because I didn't do a very good job on the I-cord on the neckline. And like, I also will say, like, I normally like doing I-cord. I like doing double knitting. I like those more like tedious things, but where you see it like really pull the object together. But even I was like, this was a lot of I-cord. Like the drawstring's just really long. It's like several feet, you know, and then all the, you know, it's a lot. But I think very well worth it. I've been excited to wear it and I'm excited to wear it a little bit more as it continues to get warmer. I think she knit hers in the Knitting for Olive silk. And then I did this in the bamboo and it's a fingering weight yarn. But so yeah, just like really perfect for summer, very drapey, very flowy. And yeah, I'm excited. And so I think that concludes finished objects. Besides, again, I mentioned I made the Rybka pouch. I made some like scrappy scrunchies that I'll maybe put a photo in. And just like I made another, I don't know, just like lots of scrappy stuff. I was initially like really trying to dial in on finishing up on like just some like odds and ends of yarn, and then I'm kind of, upon reflecting, I feel like it took away from some more of the things I really like was wanting to prioritize knitting. I feel like I didn't get as much done in May as I would have hoped to, and so I think I'm trying to reevaluate how I want to use my scrap yarn moving forward. But I guess we can talk about works in progress, which I have 3 that are still continuing on. And, you know, slightly progressed state from, I think, the last time you've seen them, but I definitely would not say I've made, like, monumental progress on any of them. And so the first is going to be the Barbroe Blouse. So this is by Pernille Larsen of Knitting for Olive, the design. I'm doing it in Knitting for Olive, the colorway Dusty Artichoke, in their Merino base, so just like a fingering base. And I'm really enjoying it. The lace repeat is like really easy. It's very memorizable, which I feel like people often say that about lace. And then I always, when I do stuff, I'm like, I'm not like finding this at all easy or memorizable. Or I guess, is it easy? Yes. But am I consulting the chart every single row? Yes. Versus for this one, I don't actually have to do that. So that's nice. It's a bottom up. So like, obviously it's a little bit nerve wracking in terms of just like getting the length right. But I have a different knit top of a very similar like amount of ease that I've been basing it off of. So I think I just have a couple more chart repeats before I have to split for the sleeves and the front and back. And I'm excited to get there. I think then things are gonna get a little bit more complicated just with maintaining the pattern and doing all the shaping. And this is long sleeve also, so I have a ways to go. And I wanted to get this done by spring. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think maybe I just need to, I don't know, be more patient, enjoy the process more. It will get done when it gets done. And I think I for sure should have it by fall, which, you know, it's a long sleeve shirt, so I feel like that's kind of the perfect weather for it anyways. But yeah, really enjoying it. I think it's working out beautifully. I don't actually knit with that much Knitting for Olive yarn. I think the colors are beautiful. I feel like the yarn itself, I'm like, I don't know, I guess I would say I'm neutral on. I don't feel like it's like my favorite ever yarn I've worked with. I don't think it's like, it's definitely not least favorite. But yeah, the colorway is beautiful and I wanted to use it for this because I know that it doesn't like pill as much. It's not super wash, I believe, and it's also lighter fingering, so I feel like I was like struggling with, I didn't want to get something that was going to be, you know, slightly the wrong gauge or something. Not that I think it totally would have mattered, but yeah, just decided to go for the recommended yarn on this one. This next work in progress is the Colette tee, which I'll maybe show the back first because I think it's in a cuter state. Wow, it's very tangled at the moment. I apologize. Many things on hold and on the go. But so yeah, this is another pattern by Sari Nordlund. I can show. The front is what I'm working on right now. I'm like something like maybe 30 rows off from connecting in the yoke, which I'm very excited about. I do not particularly enjoy working things flat. But yeah, this is another thing that I was hoping to get done. Like honestly, I wish I was already done with it, and it just didn't happen. I had too many things on the go. I did the test knit for her, and this was really just put on the back burner, which is a little sad because I think it would have been so perfect for spring. But I'm hoping I can still get some wear out of it in the summer. Again, I'll show the back because I think it's looking a little bit clearer. It's this beautiful cable with some lace, and yeah, I just think it will be really pretty. I love the yarn I'm using. This is some silk and tencel yarn that I picked up when I was in Montreal in the fall. I think she knit her sample in 2 strands of the Knitting for Olive silk to get a DK weight, and this is just like a silk tencel DK weight. I'm forgetting the yarn brand. Louisa something, I want to say. But it's working out very quickly, I think, at the DK gauge. I guess this is only like a couple like sit downs of a few hours at a time of knitting. So I just wish I was farther because I know that like if I was putting the time in, I probably would be done by now, but I think I just haven't been. I haven't been picking it up as much. It's not like too chart heavy because like, you know, you're not doing that much on most rows. You're only cabling like very, you know, sparsely and doing the eyelets and the purling very sparsely. But I still think, you know, just doing the initial construction, there's like a little bit more going on. And I just feel like I had too many things to really be prioritizing everything all at once. But that's okay. We're getting through it. I'm very excited for this to be, you know, connected in the round, and I think that will get me moving on it a little bit more. But yeah, that's the Colette tee. And then I have one more work in progress that again is in not the most exciting of states, but I am excited about where I will be after I think I have like a couple more stages left and then I will be somewhere really good. So this is the tarot card sweater by Tamara, Jordan, or Star-Crossed Knits, I think is her handle on Instagram. And I think I said this last time, I did not realize this was going to be worked entirely flat. So this is the back panel, and the front is going to be a color work with some Lagerback jacquard, terracotta card pattern, which I'm very excited about. I think that'll be super fun to work on. I love working up color work. I love seeing, you know, each row. I feel like you get more details, and I haven't done Lagerback jacquard before, so I was excited to learn that technique. Knitting an entire back panel that is black and basically like, it's not a perfect rectangle, but it basically is a rectangle, less excited about. So I've definitely been slogging on this. I want to say that I have like 30 more rows and then some ribbing. I think I'm also keeping track of the rows just because I want it to match the number of rows on the front perfectly. You know, the perfectionist in me is like probably defeating my own ability to move more quickly on this by keeping track of rows in that way, but you know, who cares? I'm allowed to do what I want, I guess. It's my knitting. But I think I've been slogging a little bit on it, but I'm trying to tell myself I'm like almost through the back, and I think when I get to the front, it's going to be really exciting. It's going to move a lot faster, and I'm going to feel like just like more excited to be working on it. I think obviously I'm someone I like knit with a lot of color, and just like staring at like black fabric that I'm making is like not the most exciting, but that's okay. We're gonna be to the exciting part soon, and hopefully next time I see you guys, I'll be able to have something that I'm more excited to talk about and more excited for you guys to look at and see. But that's that. And so I guess I'll mention I have one more test knit that I'm gonna be doing, and that's gonna be actually my second ever test knit. The Sari Nordlund Penelope tee was my first, but it's gonna be the Anna top, and it's gonna be by Leah of Kiss Kiss Rhinestone on Instagram. And I have made her Vivian cardigan before. I didn't test it or anything, but I love that cardigan. I've been like following her very closely on Instagram. I feel like she always does like the cutest designs. They're just so fresh and like, I don't know, feel very like of the moment. Like it feels, yeah. I just really like her design. I like her style. I like her taste. And I saw this top and I was like, I absolutely want to make it. It's like a high neck. I'll show a photo, but it's like reversible. So there's like a front and then there's like a back with more eyelets. And then you can like reverse it to wear the back to front. And she made it in Cardiff cashmere. I ordered some yarn from an online store I haven't ordered from before, but I got their laying cashmere just because they had it on a really, you know, much better price. Had it on sale, and hopefully I'm really hoping it's going to show up soon so I can get started on it. I'm in like the group chat with all the testers and everyone's making their gauge swatches, and I'm looking on very enviously. I'm like, I want to be knitting my gauge swatch, which is not a statement I feel like I've ever made before as someone who doesn't gauge swatch, but on this one I really do. I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh, I want to be doing that. So I'm hoping that yarn will show up in the mail soon and I can get started on that. And yeah, I'm just sort of excited to be moving towards more like tanks and tees and summer knits. Yeah, I guess I have like the sweater, the tarot card sweater is still on the go, but I think other than that, I'm planning on not doing any sweaters for the foreseeable future. Not because I don't love making sweaters, but I just think it's, you know, it's summer. I want to be making tops. I feel like I get a lot of wear out of my tops. Probably the most wear out of all my knit items is my summer tops. I live in California, and so it's like warm all year round basically, and I can really wear it even in the winter versus, you know, at this point it's too warm to be wearing a sweater. And so anyways, yeah, I'm excited for this. It will obviously be a little bit cozier with the cashmere, and more, yeah, I haven't worked with of like cashmere for a top before, so I'm excited. It should be fun. And then I guess besides that, I have one more acquisition, which is, this is gonna be, it's very special yarn. I was visiting my sister who lives in upstate New York, and we were at a farmer's market where they had this yarn, and they only had a couple skeins of it. Like I want to say they only had 2 skeins of each like base and colorway, and I like saw it and I was like, I really want this yarn, but if I get it, I like would want to make a sweater out of it, and so I didn't want to just get the couple skeins. And it also, you know, it's like you know, local yarn, or sorry, local farm where they spin and, you know, make the yarn themselves, and so it's definitely a little bit pricier. And so I was also like, okay, I want to sit and think on this. But this is the Winsong Farm Wensleydale Luster Longwood yarn. So it's from these Wensleydale sheep, and it just has the sheen to it. I think this is undyed. This is a DK / light worsted. And it just is beautiful. It's like very pearlescent, I guess. And again, I'm not much of a neutral person, but I feel like my trip to the East Coast, where I like ended up on a couple farms and was seeing, you know, natural fibers, I'm really getting into the idea of like undyed yarn. That's like just the natural color of the sheep. They sent also like with it, I ended up ordering it, I should have said, because again, at the actual farmer's market, they didn't have the quantity I wanted, and I wanted to, you know, sit and think on it. And then I came back home to California and I was like, you know what, I really want it. And I think I came up with a project. I think I'm gonna do, it's one of my favorite things, knitwear sweaters. It's like a cable. I'm forgetting the number, but I'll show it online. I'm realizing if I make it, I gotta gauge swatch because I've learned my lesson. I don't think I have the same gauge as her. But anyways, yeah, they like mailed a photo also their sheep, you know, so they're just such cute sheep. Such beautiful yarn. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think it should be really special. And I'm thinking this is probably something I won't cast on until like end of the summer, fall. Because again, I wanted to use sort of like a more classic cable sweater that really just like lets the yarn shine. And yeah, so I'm super excited about that. That's been like my one purchase in the last 2 months, I guess, besides, you know, ordered an extra skein of this, and then I have the yarn coming from the test knit. So saying it's my one purchase is maybe a little bit untrue. But yeah, I've been, again, just trying to focus on using and appreciating the yarn I do have. I've been, as I was mentioning, trying to think through what I want to do with my stash scrap yarn a little bit more. And again, if people have thoughts or opinions on that, I'm like always curious to see or hear how people, you know, people go about using their yarn and what their thoughts are. I think it's like definitely, I don't want to say it's a point in contention, but I feel like a lot of people have like, I don't know, like very different relationships with their stash yarn, their scrap yarn, and like see the utility of it very differently. And I think I'm trying to really figure out like what is the best utility for me, and not just sort of like, I don't know, I think it's like I love hearing your input and advice, but I think it's also very subjective to be like, okay, this works for me and this doesn't. And I think as I like continue to knit more, I'm definitely learning more about myself and like the projects I want to make, and like where I want my time to be going. Because at the end of the day, my time is valuable and we can only knit so much. You know, I feel like it's very easy to have, I feel like probably most knitters fall into the trap of having, you know, this like long list of all these things they dream of making and want to make. And it's very easy to be like, oh yeah, like I can do that all. And like, you know, see it all as like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna make all these things, it's gonna happen. And I think definitely, especially in the last month where I feel like I've been knitting a little bit less, I've been becoming a little bit more aware of like, oh, I really have to like pick and choose what do I want to make and what is actually feasible. And I don't want to be creating unrealistic expectations for myself of feeling like I have all this time to knit everything and I should be utilizing, you know, every single last scrap of yarn, when, you know, if I'm utilizing the yarn and making a project I don't actually care about, that's not probably actually the best use of my time. So anyways, that's my thoughts on that. Again, thank you for letting me ramble on that. And yeah, looking forward to some more summery knits that are on the horizon, and I'll see you guys next time.